let me give you the rundown how what I've come across. Okay. According to our procedural ordinance, we meet the second Monday of every month at 7 o'clock at this location. Okay, that's a no-brainer because it is built into our ordinance, which is our law. Now, what happened this past week, assuming that the courthouse was closed one day, Monday, whatever, Tuesday, and you were off sick one day? Monday. And they've had some computer glitches, I guess, at the courthouse. Wednesday, Crystal Grady office, who sends all this stuff out for the quorum court, her computers are up and running because I received Tommy Kramer's financial reports, as well as I'm sure everybody else did. But I understand Lucretia's computer server was down or whatever. Thursday, Crystal's office is now down, the computers. They're back up Friday. And that's when I go see Lucretia Friday to get a copy of all the ordinances and the agenda. They're ready to go, according to Lucretia, they're ready to go. I picked 2 copies up, gave one to the Crystal's office. I've got the other one here. The judge took a poll, I'm assuming calling every one of you, because Lucretia called me asking about postponing that meeting to, at that time it was Monday, next Monday. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe I told you I didn't know because I didn't know what the rule of law was.
Right.
And Lucretia said she didn't either, so we left it at that. Now, I'm assuming that was counted as a no vote.
It was.
Well, I understand, but I personally don't think it should have been. But I understand that 1 or 2 JPs said they didn't care one way or the other, and that was counted as a yes vote. I don't agree with that either, but that's beside the point. The county judge, according to 1414-904, Arkansas statute, that has been amended, which took place this year. Section 2 was added into that. And Section 2, I've got the copies of it here, states that, well, that's not it. Section 2 is a new addition, and it comes from the Procedural Guide for County Quorum Court Meetings, 2013 edition. I have 2011 or 12, and it's not in there because it starts this year. 1414-904, it's not going to be in yours, Mark, unless you have a brand spanking new.
You got 12.
This is in 13.
Okay.
And it is Section 2, which is a new added, by declaration of emergency or determination that emergency exists and the safety of the general public is at risk, the county judge may change the date, place, or time of the regular meeting of the quorum court upon 24-hour notice. James, I understand, did not call for an emergency. He did not make a declaration. That's okay, because there was none. There's no emergency the way I see it. But what James did was call the JPs to let them decide if we wanted to move the quorum court meeting tonight to Thursday, or Tuesday now, Tuesday. That poll, I don't believe, can be taken legally. And I refer to Attorney General's opinion 95-098. And I'll kind of go through this, highlight some of it. In response to your request, talking about the person, the Butch Callahan, as to where the city, they're talking about 2 city council members meeting with the mayor at that time in an unplanned meeting for the purpose of which to gather information. And it goes on down through this talking about it, and of course I assume the question you're asking, but it says FOI clearly applies to meetings attended by less than a quorum of the governing body. And it goes on through, it says, while I'm somewhat uncertain as to what is meant by your question, this is the Attorney General is stating this toward Callahan. It says, "While I'm somewhat uncertain as to what is meant by your question by the term unplanned meeting, I assume that this refers to an unscheduled, unofficial meeting, such as a meeting would, I believe, generally fall within the informal meeting provision. With regard to the substance of the meeting, it has been stated by a recognized authority on the FOI that, quote, no official action need occur at a meeting to trigger this act of FOI. And it goes on to state that a governing body, and this is quoting them, a governing body must hold a public meeting if its purpose is to discuss proposal or to gather information. Now, I take it that the judge was only trying to gather some information as to how we wanted to handle the meeting from tonight till Tuesday, to next Tuesday, the 18th. We don't have, the quorum court does not have the right to move our meeting. In our procedural guides, we do. When it comes to a special call meeting, 6 JPs can sign an addendum, if you will, and we can move our special meeting or call a special meeting. But this is a quorum court regularly assigned meeting every month. And all James was trying to do to get us to move the regular meeting to another date. What I'm trying to say is, I think his proposal of asking or polling was illegal under FOI because the public is unaware of what is going on with that conversation. Just about asking, do you want to move or do you not? At the same time, we're violating our own statute of our personnel management. To cover all of us under FOI and the county judge, I think we need to go ahead and have this meeting tonight with a quorum of 6 is all it needs out of the 11. So I'm saying that we should go ahead because I personally think it's my duty to the county and to District 7 that I represent that I need to take care of business as much as I can. Now, if we choose not to do this and walk out, that's fine. We can't do anything else from that point on. At 10 minutes to 4 Friday afternoon, I called Ron Kincaid and advised him of what all's going on. And Ron says, you've got a mess. And I said, well, how do we handle it? He says, you have one of 2 options. Go ahead with the Monday meeting, and if you choose to not have it or put it off to a Tuesday, all of you in a formal meeting can vote to do that. Or go ahead and have your meeting, take care of what business you can. However, under the appropriation ordinances that we have, we can't mess with those because those are one reading, takes 8 votes to pass them. But it's not a big thing if we can just go ahead as a quorum, if we meet, and put this off to March. The whole crux of this, the way I've seen it, the judge's office, doesn't matter whose fault, doesn't matter, but it's his office to get this information down to Crystal's office so she can get this stuff out to us by at least no later than Wednesday and email this out. We're covered. It didn't happen. That's not a big thing to me. We can cover everybody's tail end on this with FOI just by going ahead and taking care of business tonight. We messed, you know, the ball was dropped, but we can handle it. We're grown men and women. We're doing business for the county, and I say go ahead and do this, just to make sure that we're doing things legal and proper. Ron did tell me, if you don't want to hold the meeting tonight at your regular scheduled time according to your own law, you can go ahead and have it on the Tuesday, even though it's an illegally called meeting under the law. But you can still go ahead and have it and just make sure everybody understands this ain't gonna happen again. And I'm just saying that we can cover the judge's tail end. We can cover our own tail end by having the meeting and just be done with this. Okay, the ball was dropped, mistake was made, let's go on and take care of county business. And because of our own law, and this one was passed in 2010, and David, you're a part of this, and you're a part of this, the other, I'm not even on the quorum court at that time. But I didn't come on until January 11th.
No.
But that's what this states, that no JP, it's not written into this thing that can change a regular quorum court meeting. Now, if you do that, you have to do that within a call meeting, normal meeting, and then take a vote to let the 11 choose to do so. But the way James did that, and I think what he's trying to do was cover himself for not getting the information down to Crystal in time. And he's just trying to cover himself, and when he does it, he's violating FOI, and he's violating this policy that we have enforced. Two wrongs don't make a right, and that's what I think James was trying to do by having this meeting on this coming Tuesday, so you could get the Budget and Finance Committee meeting.
I would say that it's probably mostly my fault because, well, actually the snow's fault, because I had to cancel our committee meeting last week because of inclement weather.
Yes.
Well, as we've discussed, you know, I've tried to make it a point to get the information out in a committee meeting to everyone a week before the quorum court meeting. Now that's further out than is necessarily required by the 3 days or whatever's in our procedural ordinance. But we're trying, I've been making an effort all year to get the facts out in a timely manner so that no one is blindsided by the agenda that comes out at the quorum court meetings. And basically, I was between a rock and a hard place when I had to cancel the committee meeting, and then this meeting was still scheduled, knowing what grief I'm gonna get for having a meeting and then having too short of a time between the committee meeting and the information being out and then the regular quorum court meeting. When this came out and developed this way, I thought, well, this, in my way of thinking, this allowed us the same week of opportunity, the same 7 days of opportunity to study the material. I mean, what you're talking about is all that I went over tonight. Everybody's ready to vote on that. I mean, that's the only purpose to have a meeting. We don't need to have a meeting and charge the people in Boone County. I don't think that would happen tonight, even if we did that. But it makes a lot more sense, and it tracks a lot better. Now, the emergency, as is stated in the new legislation, clearly is not tonight. The emergency was last Monday night, and it affected tonight. Ice storm has, I don't remember how many weeks it was before we were recovered and back to normal from that. This wasn't that, but this was because of the repercussions of the inclement weather that slid these things. Now that's how it kind of fit logically with me. I do know that the courthouse was closed today. I know that the judge's office was maybe closed one day and the computers were down one day. But the history shows in this body that even when we have the 7 days notice, that sometimes is pointless. But I knew in my mind that 3 days notice or 2 days notice or an hour notice is not going to be enough. Now this is my theory and it's the way it's working in my mind.